Hey guys, Ezra here and welcome back to another Ezra review. And on today's review, I want to review a movie called Captain America the Winter Soldier, or I guess more appropriately, this is a retrospective review of the movie, because to me, Captain America the Winter Soldier are one of the best MCU movies, and it's the best Captain America movie, Like I know some people might prefer Civil War over this, but for me, Civil War feels like an Avengers movie, I think appropriately it could be like Avengers Civil War movie, instead of like a Captain America movie. But the Winter Soldier are different, because it is a Captain America movie and it has this like a 70s political thriller vibe, in the movie itself, and I think is absolutely fantastic, and to this day, to me, it's still the best MCU movie, I guess next to the first Iron Man movies, because I've been kind of rewatching a lot of the phase one of the MCU movies, because they're good, man. Like they're really good, because it's like a humble beginning for them, But of course, the reason why I review The Winter Soldier is because, well, Captain America Brave New World is going to be released on I think next Friday, February 14th, but I'm not exactly sure when it's going to be playing on my country, because they only showed that it was going to be playing on February, but they don't have the exact date, But I figure I might as well do this review, because I think this is like the tone that the new Captain America movie tried to uh, mimic it essentially, try to be like serious, like a political thriller movie, which I'm fine with it, because I think MCU movies these days has been really just a bunch of corny jokes that is not even funny, and there's a bunch of CGI all over the place, but the Winter Soldier is different because like I think most of them, the director Anthony and Joe Russo, they even said that they wanted to keep most of the things in this movie practical, and obviously there is some VFX involved in the movie, don't get me wrong, but I feel like this is like the MCU movie that actually feels like took place on a real world and not in the green screen, where it's just like actors standing on a green screen and then there's a bunch of VFX around them, So I think it's also a huge plus about the movie itself, and so for the movie itself, the story obviously took place after, like I think after the first Avengers movie, and then obviously many years later after the first Captain America movie. And this is an interesting setting for Captain America himself, because like the world are like a very distant contrast between the World War II vibes, and then in this one, which is like in this one, Steve Rogers basically like he can't exactly trust anybody, because there is a mole in Shield, and it was revealed that Hydra actually basically took over Shield, and it's becoming a beautiful parasite, inside of the organization, and that's why he can't exactly trust anybody, and hence why it has this political thriller vibe, But yeah, this movie itself also introduced a new character, obviously, which is like the future Captain America, you could say. Sam Wilson, or the Falcon, played by Anthony Mackie, and the movie's opening with him jogging, and then like Captain America just like pass him, on the left, on your left. And I remember, when this movie came out, a lot of my friends on my elementary school, like God, it's so long ago, like a lot of my friends in elementary school, basically, we just keep mimicking that line, where it's like we were like jogging in an exercise, and then we keep saying on your left, on your left, like I love that moment a lot, and I kind of miss it, to be honest, but yeah, it's a fun time, and that's how the movie opens, that's how we get introduced to Sam Wilson's character, and pretty much becomes like the bond between the two of them, that I don't think the bond is that special, if I'm being honest here, but it's a good bond between Wilson and Rogers, So I think for this review, I just want to talk about my favorite scenes from the movie, so the review doesn't go for too long, because I don't want to recap the entire, Winter Soldier plot, because I'm pretty sure that it's a 10-year-old movie, I'm pretty sure people already know that, So I'm gonna be talking about my first experience watching the scenes, So the first action sequences, is in the boat, and I think this action sequence kind of surprised me, because how strong Captain America was, which sounds kind of stupid, because that he took the super soldier serums, that he's strong. And at the time, back in 2014, I was surprised by that, how strong he was, because I thought that he's just like a normal guy using a shield. That me being honest here, because I already watched the first Captain America movie, that we know that he's getting like a super soldier serums, but I think my dumb brain at the time doesn't even pick up on that, even when Steve becoming from like a skinny guy to like a really muscly guy, and then he becomes tall, I didn't even pick up on that, and because I was I was just a kid and I was super dumb at the time, so the two scenes where Steve just kick a guy really hard, like that's really surprising for me, But overall, I really like how that this is like a kind of like a grounded action sequence, and that's what I love most about the Winter Soldier action sequence, that it feels grounded enough, but obviously not entirely, So yeah, I love the boat sequence, I think I also love the fight between Captain America and Batroc, I think it was a great fight scene, I wish it was gone for a little bit longer, because I think it's just a really fun action sequence, it feels like you're watching like a martial arts movie, but in a superhero movie, which I think is absolutely fantastic, and yeah, I wish it's a bit longer, but either way, I think it's great, for what we got, and the other action sequence that's stuck with my mind is actually the elevator sequence, which I think they even mimicked that in Avengers Endgame, and I was like, oh, like okay, like they referenced that, because it is one of the best scene ever, I love how the scene was built up, because obviously at this moment, Captain America become the fugitive of Shield, and then he becomes really paranoid at times, so when he saw Romlo and his team entering, that Captain America starts to get suspicious, and then more people coming into the elevators, and they just like building up the scenes, because like basically they push Captain America into the middle of the elevators, so they can take them down, and then yeah, I love how he immediately picks up on that, and then Steve said, before we get started, does anybody wants to get out, and that's where we get the action sequence, I think some of the editing here is kind of like a bit weird at times, because there is so many people in that elevator, so I'm just like, I have no idea what this other side of the elevator is doing, it's kind of weird, if you pause it for a moment, but for the most part, I think it's great, and it's another grounded action sequence, that I kind of wish that it was, again, I wish it was a little longer, but I still think it's great, especially when Captain America throw Romlo into like the ceiling of the elevators, I love that scene a lot, it kind of feels personal, and it's like, yeah, I absolutely love that, and the next one is obviously when he jumps out of the elevator, which is absolutely insane, but obviously he's a super soldier, so he's fine, and then we get to see him take down like a Queen jet, I think, from Shield, so, or I guess like the jet from Shield, and using his shield again, I think that was absolutely fantastic, but I would say I want to move on to the best one. I think the best action sequence that people remember from this movie is actually the highway action sequence, or I guess like the street action sequence, because you see him try to fight the Winter Soldiers, which I absolutely love that, and I love the way it started. It kind of started so suddenly, because I did not expect another big action sequence, to be honest here. I thought that, oh, we're gonna go to the Shield headquarters and then we're gonna go from there, but the Winter Soldiers suddenly show up, on top of the car, and that's where the action sequence starts, so there is a bunch of shootout scenes, I love the scene where Captain America basically got swing into like a bus, and it's like, wow, that's insane, and I also like the scene where he used the shield to protect himself against like a minigun, and you get to see Sam Wilson try to help him out, in the background there. I absolutely love that, and yeah, obviously we see Black Widow try to fight the Winter Soldier, but obviously the Winter Soldiers are absolutely strong, so obviously he nearly killed Black Widow until Steve decided to show up and fight the Winter Soldiers, and this is where we get to see the best scene in the movie, where yeah, we see both Captain America and the Winter Soldier basically duke it out, and I absolutely love that, and I love the knife work that the Winter Soldiers has, because I think Sebastianstan, I think he said that he trains the knife work for so many months, I think, so he can get it right, and I absolutely love that, I guess the one thing that I wish the movie does is actually doesn't necessarily shake the camera, because I feel there is a bunch of shaky cams in the fights, and don't get me wrong, it's not exactly disorienting, it's not exactly I'm feeling dizzy watching the scenes, but I kind of wish that the Russo brothers was actually just stick the camera and then just like let Captain America and the Winter Soldiers fight, and then they don't have to shake the cameras, but I understand, I think Chris Evans and Sebastian Stan is not exactly a martial artist, or like a fighter, so I completely understand why they have to shake the camera, so they can feel like the intensity of the parts, and it does add to the intensity of the scene itself, you know. But I kind of wish that it was just like a the camera just sits still and then we can actually see the fight sequence, you know. But nevertheless, you know, I still think it's a great fighting sequence, you know. But after that, Captain America managed to demask the Winter Soldiers, and this is where we get to see that the Winter Soldiers are actually Bucky Barnes, you know. And this obviously becoming very devastating for Captain America, you know, because obviously it was his best friend, you know, he was still alive, you know, and he was basically killing a bunch of people, you know, in the 70s and the 80s, I think, and it was the work made by Hydra, you know, especially Dr. Zola, you know. And I forgot to mention this, but the action sequence with Samuel Jackson, you know, Nick Fury, is also really good, you know, where he was ambushed by a bunch of corrupt cops, you know, I'm assuming Hydra agents, you know, and they try to kill him, you know, and then you just see him like try to strategize how to get out of there, you know, and then at the last moment he decided to deploy like a gun, I think, in his car, which I think is a really cool car, you know. It's bulletproof and apparently can fly, which, okay, we never see that, but you know, it was insinuated that he can actually fly, you know. And yeah, he basically shot a bunch of cops, you know, in the middle of the day, and then destroying a bunch of cars as well, you know, which I think is absolutely insane, you know. I think it was practical, right? I think the explosion feels practical in this scene itself, you know. And I know these cops are like Hydra agents, you know, so I don't really feel bad, obviously, you know. And then we get to see a chase sequence, you know, between him and two police cars, you know, and I think is very well directed, you know. I love the when the camera basically become the first perspective from the car point of view, you know, and mixed with the score itself, you know, is absolutely fantastic, you know. And yeah, I like all the shot in this car chase sequences is absolutely fantastic, you know. I think the editing is great, the directing is great, and the score accompanying the scene is also absolutely fantastic, you know, that it feels intense, you know. And yeah, I think it's one of the best car chasing ever, you know. And so let's move on to the third act of the movie, you know, which is where we get to see the helicarrier, you know, and then Project Insight, right? And then we see Falcon and Captain America try to stop Project Insight, you know, and then we see Captain America just beating a bunch of Hydra agents, you know, in the helicarrier, you know, is absolutely fantastic, you know. And then I love the sequence with Sam Wilson Falcon, you know, where he's trying to evade like a jet, you know. I think it's really, really fun to watch that, you know. But of course, I absolutely love the final fight scene between Captain America and Bucky, you know. And I think I really felt the intensity between the fight scenes, you know, because like when I first watched the movie itself, you know, I was actually like super, like I was actually really rooting for Captain America. I can actually feel the adrenaline inside of me that I was like, okay, come on, Captain America, beat the shit out of him, you know. And I really like that, you know, because I think no Marvel movie has come close to, you know, for me building this adrenaline in my body that I feel really excited to see like a hero punching the bad guys, you know, and well, quote unquote the bad guys, you know. And then same thing happening in the third act of the movie. Now I was actually super happy that, oh, we're gonna see the two of them fight again. That's fantastic, you know. And I absolutely love the fight sequences through and through in this third act, you know. And yeah, basically they managed to complete the mission, you know. And then where Bucky Barnes were basically pinned down, I think, and then Captain America decided to save him, but he decided not to fight him back, you know, because, you know, he's his friends, you know. And Bucky basically said that, well, you are my mission, and then I think nearly killed Steve here, you know. And then Steve was like, hey, you know, then finish it, you know, finish your mission, you know, because you know, I'm with you until the end of the line, you know. And this is where Bucky realized that he's basically punching his best friends, you know, and then he decided to save Steve from drowning in the river, you know. And I absolutely loved it, you know. I also love the scene where the helicarrier basically crashed into this Triskelion, you know, and I think we see Sam Wilson inside, you know, and then try to run away, and then he jumps into the helicopter, you know, 41st floor, 41st, you know. And I really love that scene a lot, you know. I love the destruction of it, you know. And yeah, overall, you know, I actually love all the action sequences in this movie, you know, if you can tell already, you know. I think it's feel grounded, you know. And like I said before, I love how the Russo brothers trying to basically try to be practical as much as possible, you know, and doesn't try to involve as many CGI, you know, like the recent Marvel movies, you know. I'm really hoping that the fourth Captain America movie actually rely on practical effects, you know. But well, there is Red Hulk in the movie, so I'm assuming there's gonna be a lot of visual effects in this movie, in that movie, you know. But I think the tone they try to mimic the tone of the Winter Soldiers, I think, based on the trailer, you know. So I guess that's good, you know. Hopefully that's actually the case, you know, and not trying to be like the corny MCU jokes, you know, even though that the recent clips doesn't really convince me that much, you know. And obviously, speaking of Captain America 4, you know, I want to address my opinions on the next Captain America movie, you know, because Sam Wilson is the next Captain America, and I actually did not like that, if I'm being honest here. I think that decision always bothers me ever since I watched Avengers Endgame way back in 2019. When I see that scene for the first time where Steve decided to pass the baton of Captain America to Sam Wilson, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because I always convinced that Bucky Barnes is gonna be the next Captain America. There's even like a scene in this movie where, in the street fighting, where Bucky Barnes managed to grab Captain America's shield, and there's a moment in the movie where you can actually see him posing, using the shield, and I was like, that's a cool shot right there, as you can see here in the screenshot here, and I was like, damn, that feels like a foreshadowing, but that wasn't the case. It feels like a terrible jump scare where Sam Wilson Falcon become the next Captain America. I'm just like, why? Because I get it that the Winter Soldier are basically committing a bunch of this terrorist act, and I think that's become the reason why he doesn't become Captain America, but I feel like Bucky Barnes is a much better character than Sam Wilson. I like Sam Wilson, I like Anthony Mackie, but I feel like his character are just okay. It's not exactly special for me. Like, he's just a good friend to Steve, and I feel like it doesn't feel that much special for me because it doesn't have like a good character arc, in my opinion, and but I feel like Bucky Barnes has a character arc, like he's suffering a lot, in the movie itself, because it was revealed that Hydra was controlling him the entire time, like Bucky Barnes was the victim in this entire situation, and I feel like if Steve decided to pass the baton to Bucky Barnes, then I think that will make a much more interesting Captain America movie, where the next Captain America could be about Bucky Barnes trying to redeem himself and try to convince the people of America and the world that, hey, I'm not exactly the bad guy. I could be the hero, and I could take the mantle of Captain America, which is his best friends, by the way. Which I think that's a really weird choice, that the best friend doesn't take the mantle. I know that he does a lot of bad things, but it's not his fault. He was controlled by that. Even Steve himself said it in Civil War. That it wasn't him, it was Hydra. Which, yeah, it was Hydra that controls, that mind control Bucky Barnes. So I really wish that if he does becomes the next Captain America, then that would be a nice great step, great next step for Bucky Barnes' character that I could actually care about, but they didn't do that. They focused on Sam Wilson as Captain America, which is feeling very hollow for me. Like, I didn't really feel the impact from him to becoming Captain America, so yeah, I mean, that's just my opinion. I know some people will disagree, and that's fine, but I feel like I have that problem since Avengers Endgame, and I feel like watching this movie, it feels like I'm not exactly interested on Sam Wilson as Captain America, to be honest. Kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I kind of wish Bucky Barnes with the next Captain America. That would be a much more interesting plot point, right? Especially Bucky Barnes are actually strong, I think he has somewhat a super soldier serum, I guess, because he's able to fight toe to toe with Captain America, even fighting against Iron Man, in Civil Wars, and then Black Panther as well, so like he's a strong individual, but Sam Wilson doesn't have any super soldier serum, so obviously he's just a normal man. So I don't really feel the impact of being a Captain America, because obviously Captain America are not only like stand on his ideal for protecting America, but also like he's super strong because of the serum, so yeah, that's also like another minus point there, for Falcon there. So yeah, I guess we'll see what's gonna happen in Captain America Brave New World. I'm hoping that the movie is actually fun and not boring. I'm hoping the movie is also serious, just like the Winter Soldier, and doesn't have any corny jokes. Even though, again, the recent clip doesn't really convince me. I think the fighting sequence in that clip was terrible, and also the comedy on that scene was also really corny. So I'm just like, oh, okay, like this is the MCU comedy now. I don't really like this, man. So I'm really hoping that the rest of the movie are actually serious. I know that the Winter Soldier has some comedic elements, but I think the comedic elements does work, because it doesn't feel corny, and for the most part the movie was serious enough, so I'm really hoping that that's where the fourth Captain America is going here, that's gonna be like a serious political thriller, so we'll see what happens, so yeah, that's my review for Captain America the Winter Soldiers, guys. Let me know your opinions in the comment section below, guys. Like, what is your favorite action sequence in this in the Winter Soldiers? Like, is this your favorite Captain America movie? And then is this your favorite MCU movie? Because it does for me. Are you guys excited? Are you guys excited for Captain America Brave New World? Because I know that some people are kind of like pessimistic about that movie, which I understand. But are you guys planning to watch Captain America 4? Also, what do you guys think about my opinion about Bucky Barnes being the next Captain America, because I think that's like a better pick compared to Falcon, so that's my opinions, so let me know your opinions in the comment section below, which one do you prefer, like, do you guys agree that Falcon should be the next Captain America, or you guys actually agreeing with me where Bucky Barnes feels like the right choice for the next Captain America movie, and it will be much more interesting plot point, you know. So, and if you guys enjoyed this review, then make sure guys, you know, throw your shield to the subscribe and like button, guys, you know, share the videos, do some stuff, you know, and stay tuned for more movie reviews in the futures, you know. I think Captain America 4 is gonna be released next week, you know, so I guess expect that review soon, you know. So yeah, again guys, I hope you guys enjoy this review, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.